Howdy there guys, and welcome back to Edgar TV, where today we're going to look at the Premier League Night 7 that's just happened in Rotterdam. Reason being, there's quite a bit of aggro and a few things we need to discuss and go over. We're going to get straight into this. We're going to start off with the Joe Cullen, Gary Anderson incident. You may see these scenes. At the end of the match, Gary Anderson and Joe Cullen bashing heads. Gary Anderson going to walk off at one point. Joe Cullen like, no, not having this. They carry on the argument across the stage. Joe Cullen, visibly angry and disappointed with the situation, starts celebrating on the stage, but then wants to shout and have another little bit of a pop over to the side. Now, obviously, the media outlets and things are going, what's going on here? That seemed to have come from nowhere. It didn't actually come from nowhere. I'll get to that in a second. You can normally tell if something's going to be going wrong with Gary Anderson towards the end of the game. There's a few telltale signs that we've seen, and I kind of expected this. However, at the end of the game, we had this statement from Joe Cullen. He said he called me a cheat, which later on in an interview he says at the end of the night, after he's won the night, he says that he called me a cheat and I thought he called me lucky, which I thought was fair enough because he just missed 4 match darts. But then I was like, hang on a minute, no he didn't, and he went to discuss this further. He says, Gary says, I know what I was doing. I did absolutely nothing wrong. Never had a problem with him in the past. I've got a clear conscience with this. I said to him, watch every camera back. I don't know if it was heat of the moment. We all do stupid things in the heat of the moment. I did nothing wrong. And he's not happy being called a cheat. Who would be? You know, and he mentions this many times in different interviews as well. However, he also mentioned this here. He said, I said go back and watch every single camera. And that's what I've done. I've gone back and watched every single camera to see if I can see anything. And really, I can't. So this is the moment where I said you can normally see telltale signs with Gary Anderson if there's going to be a problem. He stops here at this point. Now, if we look at Joe Cullen, he's just turning to the board, mouth closed, so he's not saying anything. But at this point, a member in the audience shouts, come on, Gary. One solo voice. That's all I could pick out at this moment. It wasn't Joe. It was a member of the audience, a solo voice. This is something that we hear more as a player. We don't tend to pick out like massive noises or massive blanket noises. It's those individual voices. So he does. He instantly turns around after this noise of come on Gary. Again, it's not Joe. We can see clearly in that last shot Joe Cullen not doing anything at this point. Gary Anderson then, as Joe Cullen comes to the board to throw his darts for the 1-3-2, at the moment Gary Anderson gets level with Joe Cullen, you can see him muttering something at this point, which I'm guessing is... I'm not the greatest lip reader, but it seemed to come across as some sort of derogatory comment. But don't quote me on that, because it could... I'm not a lip reader, so it could be anything. He mutters something, he says something. We can look at the other things as well. Like I say, there's always two ways. We haven't seen much from Gary Anderson about this yet, but when it happens, Gary Anderson does turn around and look at his shoes. Was this a case of maybe there was a loose floorboard somewhere on the stage? We've seen that many times before. We saw that just last week with I think it was Mike van Gerwen, Peter Wright, I think the game was, where they stopped during the practice starts to mention about the loose floorboard and then walked wider around the stage. So it could even be something that there was a board on the stage or something, because like I say, Joe Cullen, you can see he's clearly not saying anything, but Gary turns around and looks at his shoes. Now, like I said, the only thing I can see from that situation was that single voice call out of come on Gary from someone in the crowd. Other than that, Joe Cullen's right. If you review the footage does look in favour of Joe Cullen, but we don't know. We're still waiting on the Gary Anderson statement as of yet. However, I can't see too much wrong in that situation. That was not the only bit of aggro though this evening. Gerwyn Price took to social media to put out this response. He put, the best player doesn't win anymore. The game is gone. Well done. Now, we spoke a little bit about this before, about do fans go to games to try and influence games? I mean, 11,000 people there. There's going to be some form of influence on the game, that's for sure. Now, we spoke about this just recently with Joe Cullen and Daryl Gurney when the referee threatened to take both players off stage. If you're not sure what I'm on about, I'll put that video on the end screen if you want to go have a look at that. Both players threatened to be brought off stage due to whistling, distracting both players very recently, just a week ago in the European Tour. Now, Now, Gerwyn Price clearly affected by this, but also Michael Smith. Michael Smith, a great last leg against Michael van Gerwen. He went 180, ton 180 to leave himself 41. Michael van Gerwen gave him a shot at the 41. Michael Smith didn't throw the best two darts there at the top. So first one a long way off, the second one pulled down at a bit of an angle. As soon as he missed these darts, he turned around, gave a sarcastic thumbs up to the crowd. Russ Bray had a little bit of a word with him during this process, but as he came round, sarcastic clap to the crowd. Michael van Gerwen took out the double four with the first dart. Michael Smith goes to him and he signals to the crowd as if to say, like, they won that one for you, Michael. And like I said, we covered this just last week. It's something that's coming up quite a lot more. I've seen it a lot since the World Championships. A lot of people mentioning it, what the crowd was like at the World Championships, and putting people off, you know. But what I want to know again, I did mention this before, but I'd be interested to know the view again for people that watched this video that didn't watch the other one. Does the modern day darting crowd and the atmosphere of it, does that make you want to go, or does that put you off from going? You know, I'm noticing a lot more like the darts purists, a lot more of the darts fans are sort of going more down the road of I'm not really interested in that atmosphere, and I don't think I'd enjoy the darts the same being involved in it. Where some people go, oh wow, I really want to be involved in that. That's for me. I want to experience that atmosphere. So which side of the coin are you on? Let me know in the comment section below. Is it getting worse? I think it's getting more reactive. I don't know if it's getting worse or if the players are just more aware of it, but that is obviously part as well down to maybe the hiking of things like the prize money. You know, you hike the prize money up, the importance of what's going on becomes even greater, and maybe that's one of the reasons now that players are responding to this, as it's just a acclimatizing sort of thing as they get used to the new normal. Something we never said since before COVID, was it? But let me know in the comment section what you think of that night of aggro at the darts. Interesting night. Always makes for fun when there's something aggro going on. We like a bit of needle in the game, don't we? Or certainly I do. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, guys, hit the like button on just underneath here. If the button is red next to it, that's subscribe. Hit that one. Join the Edgar Nation. I'll catch you all soon for some more Edgar TV. Edgar TV.